G'day, and welcome back to Derriere Farms, or Derriere Farms Test Farm to be specific. Today I want to talk about mods and mod reviews. As you've noticed, it's been a little while since I put out a mod review or a list of the mods that have just been released on ModHub, and there is a reason for that. But first, you've probably noticed that I went from doing, when the game first came out, daily mod reviews, and then a little later on it went to weekly mod reviews, and then it became sort of, how do I phrase this politely, a kind of mod of the week review, if you want to call it a review, and where I went over my top 10 favorite, or what I thought were the top 10 mods released in the past week. Now, the last time I did that, oh dog, get out of the way, was the middle of February, or beginning of February, I think. And I was getting ready the other day to do a review of the best mods of the last week or the last 2 weeks of February. But something wasn't sitting right with me. One, there are far too many mods being released each week, or even sometimes daily, to be able to keep up with them, as everybody is converting stuff from Farming Simulator 19 to 22, and this doesn't even include the stuff people are creating new for Farming Simulator 22. So it's almost impossible to keep up with the mods when you have other commitments besides Farming Simulator and YouTube, when you've got a family and you've got a job and you've got things to do. To do a mod review properly, I believe you have to actually take that mod, to give it a fair shake, and tell the viewer what that mod is and what it does. DJ Gohan, he does daily mod reviews, and he releases a video, as he says, anytime a mod is released or has been previewed for release for Farming Simulator. And in one of his recent videos, he admits he can spend up to 4 or 5 hours a day just doing the prep, let alone the recording of the video to show you how the mod works. Well, that's half a day's work on top of, like I said in my case, family commitments and work and so on. So that's why mod reviews, for me, started to get scaled back. And I started to do my best and worst mods of the week. And then I did something that hasn't been sitting right ever since. I called a couple of mods crap. And that really has been bothering me. I put in the comment section of that video a comment where I apologized to the specific modder. I don't do mods myself, and I also realize that everybody has to start somewhere, and I made that abundantly clear at the time. I thought that was the right thing to do, was to essentially say, this is why I think your mod needed improvement or shouldn't have be released as a mod. So I was really struggling with how to redo the mod review videos so that I wouldn't do that again. And I would basically just give you the top 10 mods of the week. And I now had, because of my struggles, my ethical dilemma, whatever you want to call it, I had 2 weeks worth of mods to review. And I was going through, or I went through, the last 2 weeks of mods on ModHub. And got everything ready, was getting everything set up, and DJ Goham's right. It takes a lot of time to set up, especially if you're going to show and demonstrate those mods to somebody. It takes a lot of time to get things ready. One second. Anyway, almost, I don't know if you want to call it divine intervention or perfect timing, but irony struck as it usually does, and I was getting my setup finished, and I was listening to Mr. CDP's latest video, where he's doing his Let's Play on Comms and Farm, and he also was apologizing for the lack of videos that he's put out recently regarding mods. Now, for those of you that don't know Mr. CDP, he does the same thing that DJ Goham does, but he tends to do mods more for and exclusively for consoles, because that's what he plays on. And in his video, he admitted he was struggling with the same thing. How to get caught up. Should he switch to a similar format where he does maybe a mod of the week or mods of the week, his favorite top 10, a best and worst. And then I think he put the nail on the head perfectly for me when he said, who am I to judge what a modder does? That's up to the end user to determine whether it's worth downloading or whether it's worth using. So, he said the only way, paraphrasing here, but the only way to be completely fair is to either review all the mods and review them all equally, or not to do a review. Just because I like this particular mod that I'm driving right now doesn't mean it'll be your favorite. And that's a very true point. Let me just unload this grain trailer. So, I'll give you another example. There was a particular series of John Deere tractors that were released in Farming Simulator 19 by a certain modder, and he did the whole family. Actually, there were a couple that did the whole family, but some did bigger sizes and some did smaller sizes. I'm just trying to remember his name now. I guess it's not important, but he did the whole 8-hour, 9-hour family, and he basically did an updated version of what Giants had. Giants had the last generation because the game had been out for 3 years, and he did the 2020 release of the 8-hour family, for example. And then somebody else, as you can tell, this is a 61 series, so it's the 6M series, but it's not from the base game, it's a mod. I'm not going to tell you whose mod it is because, again, I don't want to be biased, but I will use this as an example. There are maybe at least two other 6M mods out there that I downloaded as a stopgap measure until this mod got released, because it's the mod I wanted to play with. The reason I wanted this particular mod is I knew the modder, and I know he puts a lot of detail into his mods. The other two 6M mods were more or less slightly upgraded conversions of the base game 6M from Farming Simulator 19. So they don't have the features that this particular model does. Does that mean they don't have a place on ModHub? Well, my final conclusion is that's not up to me to decide. That's up to you, the end user or the farmer, to decide whether you want this brand or that brand, whether you want SID modding or whether you want GHG modding or whether you want 82 Studios, and I'm using the big names because they've been in the modding business for a long time. Whether you want their mods or whether you're quite happy with the mod somebody else did. That's your decision. That's not my decision. So, after some long, hard deliberation, I have decided I am out of the mod business, and I will still be using mods like I do. I will mention specific mods that I am using if it is part of a series or part of a how-to video that I'm doing. But I will not be reviewing it and saying why I picked it or why I chose it. That's up to you. Like I said, you choose what mods you want to download. I am not going to be reviewing mods anymore because, well, unless they come from Giants or part of an official DLC. That's fair game. Giants is the manufacturer of the game, and they should be held to a much higher standard than the rest of the modding community. Anyway, that's all I want to say on the matter. That's why I'm out of the mod reviewing business. And just to back up my example as to when I will tell you about a mod, I am planning to do a mod on auto load trailers for pallets, and I will mention the mod there. If I think a mod has a specific advantage to the game that brings something to the game, I will mention that mod and say, hey, give it a try. For example, the lumberjack mod. It's unique, only one person's done it, and it definitely brings something to the game. Same with the powerlift mod. It is not as though people are competing over different tractor designs to who can enable super strength in the game or not. One person's done it. It's not as though there are 20 other people lined up to do it. So you don't have to choose between them. Again, like I said, that's all I wanted to say. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think about the whole concept of mod reviews. And if you really want to be kept up to date on what mods are released, either go to ModHub, watch DJ Goham, or watch Mr. CVP. Take care and have a great rest of the weekend.